Hi there, I'm John Kierstead from Arctic Spas Vancouver Island, and once again I'm going to wet test one of the models and explain why I like that model to you. Some of the features, obviously we have different models of spas to suit different people. The spa that I'm wet testing today is the Totem. The Totem is in our Classic Series Arctic Spa. And the Totem is a really popular family spa. It's a 7 foot by 7 foot nominal footprint. Which means it's basically 7 feet by 7 feet. It's one of the spas I really love because it's quite open. There's a number of things I'd like to draw your attention to when you take a look at it. The first is you can see there's some flat spots that are a little bit higher up. There is one on the opposite side as well. So wherever you position your steps to get in, there's a nice entry spot. There's also this high corner seat. Sometimes people will put their steps on the edge of the corner and get in here, but actually this seat is more often used as a cool-off seat. When you get a little too hot, you want to sit up a little bit higher, and I'm sure once I'm in there, you can sit there. Or if you're a little kid, little kids like to have their own seat. They can say, that's my seat. You know, my seat's going to be one of the ones with lots of the jets in it because that's what I like. And that's the cool thing about this spa. It's a multi-level seated spa. Each of the seats is a different depth. Each of the seats is also caters to different jetting configurations. This particular spa, the Totem, can come in a 20 jet package, which is called the Prestige model, or you can get it in the Signature Series, and the Signature Series is a 2-pump spa. This one is a 2-pump version. So without further ado, I'm going to get in and try this thing out. I haven't been at the gym much lately, so I'm not as buff as I'd like to be, but that's how it goes. All right. All right, so like I said, entering and exiting the spa is pretty important. One of the things that's nice, you can see I'm actually straddling like I was getting on top of a horse and getting in this way, and I'm sitting in it, and I get out the same fashion as well. The advantage to that is obviously it's a safe way to enter and exit the spa. I do recommend handrails if you want. One of the things that's kind of cool about the Totem is it's really a round spa in a square box. You know, you can see even the footwell is quite round, right? There's lots of different levels as I go around. Now I'm getting deeper. We've got these captain's chairs and shuttle seats in here. There's a well, now I'm nice and deep in here. And there's this little foot jet mount there. I haven't got any of the jets on yet, but I'll show you that. There's this foot jet pedestal so I can get my feet really well. Heading over to the other shuttle. And this one has the higher and lower up armrests. Some people like to read. I don't recommend putting your iPad in here. But some people like to read in the spa. I would read in the higher up area so I didn't get it wet. But yeah, this is a nice deep seat. One of the things that's nice about a smaller spa with a really big footwell is if I have 5 or 6 people in here, I don't feel like I'm on top of them, right? We're still well spread out. It's a really good use of space. And then there's this little bit higher. So if I'm not that tall, I'm 5'8". So this is actually quite a shallow seat, but we get lots of people who are smaller and they don't want to be, you know, over their head in the water. So this is a nice seat. It's also whenever you get too hot and you want to cool off. I'm already starting to sweat. It's really nice to be able to sit up a little bit, and that's usually when I was mentioning the cool off seat over here, or this often becomes the toddler seat. But yeah, you have to have a pretty small butt to fit in here. So how about we get it going here? So I'm going to turn on some jets here. Yeah. All right. Here, this is a higher seat, and what I've got is I've got a couple of jets, 3 jets, I guess, and they're just pulsating on the very lower part of my back. Quite nice. But this one's got those big 5-inch jets. I can feel those just massaging. All of the jets in the Classic Series and the Custom Series, almost all of the jets in the spa are pulsating jets. And you can control each jet on and off like I've showed before. You can turn them on, you can turn them off just by twisting at the jet. This one has the above water neck jets. These can spray, and it really depends on your torso height where this is going to hit you. I don't really use those ones that much, so I usually just turn them out of the way, get my massage this way. I really like the openness of the spa. I can feel the foot jets over here, and I'm also pushing on that foot jet pedestal to keep myself in the seat so I don't get thrust out of the seat because the jets are pretty strong. I'll try this one over here. This is kind of just a cool off seat. Or we also call these, this one doesn't have any jets in it, we call this a soaker seat. Some people don't like the jets, so it's nice to have the options. Some of the seats have jets, some of the seats have lots of jets, and some of the seats just have a few jets. Some have none. Now I'll go over to here. So I find I'm a little bit more reclined in this one. Even though the seat sits up a little bit higher, I'm still at the same depth because I'm reclined more. The headrests in these spas adjust up and down from this post. So there's a little notch in here that I can click, and I can sit in here and get just the right headrest level. And yeah, it's super comfortable. This one has wrist jets in it, which I always thought was kind of funny because you can stick your hand in front of any jet. But you know, when you're just sitting here, if you do a lot of keyboarding and stuff like that and you get sore wrists, I do judo and jiu-jitsu, so I'm always gripping and stuff, so my hands get quite sore. Yeah, that actually feels pretty nice. I like it more on the palm of my jet, or hand, the jet on the palm. And then of course, I always like to show people that it's your hot tub. You can sit in the middle. You don't have to sit in a seat. See, I'm sitting on the floor now, right? I'm really deep in the water. If you want to exercise or do stretching, the spa is a great spot to do that because you're nice and warm. It's like hot yoga. You can get in here and I can use this to stretch. You know, I can do my exercises. I just had knee surgery, and I can sit here and I can do my exercises using the water resistance to help make my legs stronger, right? So there's different exercises. If I come around this way, I can actually use those foot jets on my hips. I can use them on my knees. So I'm getting that. By the same token, if I wanted to put my feet in front of any jet, I can move my feet on the jets. There's actually, in this seat, it has jets for the back of your calves, but when you sit across from it, that's jets for your feet from the other seat. So experiment when you have these spas. So a couple of other features that I haven't talked about is it's dual filtration. So in here we have two filters. One of the filters is going to be a micro filter, the other is going to be a traditional pleated filter. There's also a water feature here. So you can have this shoot up. These can be backlit. On this particular spa, you can't really tell with all these lights on us, but there is the underwater light. If you have family lighting, these will light up as well as your top controls would all light up as well. They even have one called Ultimate Lighting that's available on some spas, but we don't really sell it a whole lot. And then they backlight the individual jets. So there's lots of lighting. This feature can also be, if I turn some jets off here, now everything's off. If I turn it back on, I want it on low speed here. Now you can hear this. Sometimes people like that. Kind of sounds like a creek or a little fountain. So if you want that babbling brook sound or the little trickle sound, you can control that. And you can just sit in the spot. Lots of times, just sitting in the hot water, people just soak in the hot water. So if you're not a jet person, this is how a lot of people use their hot tub. Great spa. You know, for its size, we call this a 4 to 6 person. And it depends how friendly you are. You could probably fit more or less, depending on that. But it's a nice open seated spa. That's really the difference. Lots of the other spas in our lineup have lounges and stuff, but you can still lounge. You know, that's the thing I tell people, like, I'm lounging in a non-lounge spa. Oh no, I'm breaking all the rules, right? But you can. If I sit over here, this is also a bit of a pivot seat from this side. I can bring my feet up this way. Now I'm lounging, right? If I don't want my feet touching somebody else's, maybe I don't want to touch other people's feet. It gives you that option, right? So it's quite a flexible spa from that perspective. What I do like is on smaller spas, often the footwell gets compromised. You have a very little footwell space. The Totem is the biggest footwell space we have in a 7-foot spa. You can see the Onsen cell here. It's not smoking right now, but when it's producing sanitizer, this will have smoke coming up from it. And then from this one here, if I turn, well, actually you can see some bubbles coming up there because it is on low speed here. Let's see if I shut that off. Turn that off. Now there come the bubbles from the ozone. Oh, I can smell the ozone too, a little bit. Yeah, so salt with ozone, there's virtually no chemical feel or chemical smell. This is just saline, right, that we're sitting in. I think that's why people love this type of a system. Normally you can use this spa for up to 2 years without having to drain it because you're not constantly adding chemicals in there. Yeah, so that's the Arctic Spas Classic Series Totem. Thanks for watching.